Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday, and I'm back with a sketch challenge for you. So I was away last week, but I did pre-recorded videos for my lives. So I'm sorry I wasn't with you, but I have to say I had an amazing time away. Learned a new craft, hobby, passion called Saori weaving, and I can't wait. My husband's downstairs putting my loom together, so I can't wait to kind of get started. I had so much fun on the 5 days learning some of the techniques. There's lots to learn. So here I am with a sketch challenge again tonight, and so I'm kind of back on my normal schedule, although normally it's 2 o'clock Pacific. Today I had an appointment, so it's a little later, but I will be back tomorrow and Thursday at 2 o'clock Pacific with my technique and then a mystery challenge. Hello, not sure who that is. Don't forget to go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give permission so I can actually see who's commenting. Hey, Nancy, welcome. All right, I'm going to switch over and show you the sketch we're going to work with tonight, and then we'll get started. Now, I saw this, a card being made, and I don't know who it was. I should have written it down, but I thought it was a really cool idea. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Deborah. And so I kind of followed it a little bit. I'm using a different stamp set and bundle. I'm using Hey Chick. So this is the sketch, and actually this should be a little closer to the middle. But your card base is 5.5 by 8.5 or 4.25 by 11. You've got a layer that is 4 inches by 5.25, so that's the blue one. And then this white piece, or whatever color you make it, is 2 inches by 4 inches. The yellow piece in the middle is 1.5 by 4. The circle is 2 by 2, or you could use 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. I just happen to use my 2 by 2, my 2-inch circle punch. And then something in the middle. I said 1.5 by 1.5, but it could be bigger, and mine's a different shape than a square. But anyway, lots of things you could do with this. You could use designer series paper. I'm going to use a little bit. You could do some embossing. Yeah, lots of things you could do with this. I will post this on social media at, let's see, at 6 o'clock tonight. So if you're on Facebook and on Instagram. Now, I had somebody ask me if they're not on Facebook or Instagram, how they get my sketches if they miss it. One, you could rewatch the video. But if you can't get on, you're not on Instagram or Facebook, and you have questions or you want the sketch, just email me. It's Stampin without the G. So stampinwithmelva@gmail.com, and I will send you the sketch. All right, let's get started. So this is the Hey Chick bundle. It is so adorable. No, not seeing it, Catherine. I'm sure it'll get there. It is so cute with these roosters. They just have the most amazing. Gosh, this is all glued down. The most amazing expressions. That's the one I'm going to use. I think that's the one. He's just kind of squawking. And then there are some additional dies. So you can make this weather vane, as well as a sunset, sunrise. Yeah, I think those are the extra dies. The rest cut out somewhere. I'm missing one. Please don't tell me I've lost that one. There is, oh no, there it is there. It's I thought for some reason it was a separate die, but it actually cuts out the fence. All right, so those are the dies, and then the stamp, and then I'm going to use the sentiment that says "You rule the roost" on mine. Okay, so bring in my supplies. So I'm using copper clay. So I've got a piece of copper clay. This is 5.5 by 8.5. So we're going to score it at 4.25. Look what I got. I got a new bone folder. Isn't that exciting? So we've scored this. We're going to fold into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish. Okay, and then I've got another piece of copper clay. That seems like it's not cut correctly. Let's just make sure that this should be 5.5. I'm thinking, yeah, I got it. It's That's what happens when I pull cardstock out of my supply without measuring it. Sometimes it's already been cut. Oh, that didn't work very well. Should have measured it before there we go. There we go. Now it's the right size. Okay, so now we've got a piece. This is our piece that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to grab my copper clay. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on the back of my copper clay, just with that fence post, or the fences. My finger in the ink pad. That's not a good thing. Good thing I've got some baby wipes here. Does that happen to you? I noticed I've got, you probably can't see it, I've got blue ink all up my arm. Don't know how that happened. Out of practice. Okay, let's do some stamping. I'm just going to kind of roughly stamp these as a background. You don't have to do this. You could use designer series paper. You could emboss this, but just feeling like it needs something behind my sentiment. Okay, there we go. So we've got that. Now I cut a piece. This is the in color designer series paper. It's 6 by 6 and it comes in all the in colors. So I've cut this piece that is, oops, that's not the right piece. I'm going to leave that for a minute. This is the white piece. So this is my layer number 2. This is 2 inches by 4 inches. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this, you rule the roost. There we go. It's pretty straight. And I'm just going to take, and hopefully I'm going to stamp it right here in the middle to start with. And I may have to trim my designer series paper if I've got this going. I want this to go along the bottom. And then I've got glue on my fingers. Yeah, I'm going to have to trim this because if you're going to do this and your sentiment is too wide like mine is, you're just going to have to trim your piece of that you're putting across the middle. Now I said, or you could increase the size of this piece. So I said this was 2 by 4 and then your designer series paper was 1.5 by 4. And I'm just wondering whether 1.5 by 4. So I'm going to actually just trim. I don't like cutting this with, I've got glue on it already, but since I've got glue on it, I'll clean the glue off of my trimmer afterwards. So I'm just going to take 1/4 inch off my designer series paper. And now it should fit here in the middle like that. There we go. Okay. And then this piece can go across like that. I'm not popping this up. I will pop my rooster up from the circle. There we go. So if you wanted to, as I said, you could emboss that this piece of copper clay that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. Up to you. You could use a different color than I'm kind of using all the same color. Okay, so now let's actually do some stamping and some coloring. So I've got this really cute rooster. He's got a real squawk going on. So I'm going to stamp him in Tuxedo Black Memento. While I have my copper clay open, I'm going to just stamp this on the inside like that. And then I can call the inside done. Maybe I'll put that on it. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do some coloring. I just grabbed a few. I've got the copper clay and the crumb cake, and then I grab the dark of the Daffodil Delight. This is going to be for the beak. Like that. And I'm going to do his tongue in copper clay. All right, so I'm going to start by coloring him in crumb cake. You don't always have to, let's see, my crumb cake, there we go. You don't always have to use the same colors. So I can use a light of one color and a dark of another color and do some blending. So in this case, I'm going to use the light crumb cake, and then I may either use the light copper clay or the dark copper clay. We'll see. So I'm just going to kind of go over the whole rooster in light copper or light crumb cake. Now let's see. All right, I'm going to use the light copper clay to start. I may go over him a little bit because he's just feeling like he might have some spots that I want to do dark as well. We'll see how it goes. Just kind of putting some little bit on him, and then we'll go back over him. Now, normally I use the brush end, but you may notice I'm using first of all, there's not much room on this rooster, but sometimes this crumb cake blends is kind of coming to the end of its life, and sometimes one end, in this case the brush end, is drier than the fine tip end. So that's why I'm using the fine tip end on this. Normally I would use the brush end where I can. All right, it's still feeling like he's a little bit light. If you can see, it's feeling like he needs some of the dark. So I'm just gonna go over it a little bit with the dark. Sometimes it's a bit of just kind of playing to see if you need to add some more color. But he's feeling like he needs a little bit more color than I have on him. And these feet I'm going to do in Daffodil Delight. I always find I use my light blends more than I use my dark blends, which is why they do run out faster. So I'm just going over that with the light just to kind of blend it a little bit. Make sure you're using some grid paper or scrap paper underneath so that, actually I want to do that. I think that's his, I don't know what those are called. They kind of usually hang down below his neck, but it's not in this case because he's got his mouth wide open, his beak wide open. All right, that's not that one. Is that him? That's him there. All right, so I've got a piece of my Post-it note tape, so I'm just going to kind of position him and the die on top, and I think I can actually fit this in just onto my mini machine. Cut him out. All right, so here's my card. This is my 2x2 circle. Take him out. So I am going to pop up my rooster on my circle. See, just about tore him. Don't want to do that. All right. He's got such an attitude. He's so fun. All right, and then we'll pop up the circle on there. Now, I probably should have stamped my sentiment in a little bit different way, so, but that's okay. I think he's cute. There we go. So there's the front of the card. And then I've got this, and I did cut out a piece of designer series paper that is 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4. So I might as well use it on the inside as well. I always save my scraps and use them on the insides of my cards. If you wanted to put some ribbon on, you could. I've got some of the in color dots, and I know they're not available, but they are coming back. So these are the in color dots, and I'm pretty sure, yep, there's some copper clay ones right there. Put my lid on my glue before it dries out. All right. Put that on there. All right, I think that's it. I glued my in color dots back in their package. All right, so here's the sketch, and I did stay pretty true to the sketch. So there's my card, and there is the sketch. And so, like I said, you can do a little bit bigger here for your sentiment or for your image in the middle, and maybe embossed or designer series paper on there would look really cool. So that's the front, and there's the inside of the card. All right, hope you have fun with that sketch. Lots of ways that you can use it. All right, as I said, it will go live on social media in about 10 minutes time or so you can grab it. Don't forget to share your cards. I love to see what you make with these sketches, or any of them, the technique or the mystery. I love to see what you're creating at home. So share them on my Facebook group. Every month I do a draw from people who've shared their cards. So at the end of the month, it's getting close, and I send some happy mail. So you might be able to get, you may be getting some happy mail at the end of the month if you share your cards. All right, so I will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific with a technique, and then I will be live on Thursday as well with a mystery challenge. So stay tuned for that, and hope you'll join me. All right, everybody, thanks so much for dropping by tonight, and I hope you have a great evening. Happy stamping. Bye.